So I have launched 7 successful Kickstarter campaigns now and raised a little over $420,000. And I actually teach a class on Kickstarter at Webster University. So throughout that process, we've learned a lot about how to launch a Kickstarter campaign. And we're trying to use all the lessons we've learned with the Cytosis campaign. So what I want to do here in this episode is essentially show everyone what we've done wrong and what we've done right. So if they want to launch a Kickstarter campaign of their own, they'll have this as some advice and strategy on what to do and what not to do. So Kickstarter is an all or nothing model, meaning that we set a funding goal, and if we don't make that amount, we don't get anything. And this protects both the project creators and the backers. Because if we need, say, $20,000 to produce a product, and we only get $10,000, now the customers, their credit card is not charged, and we don't have to deliver a product. So that funding goal, that all or nothing model, really protects both the Kickstarter creator and the backers. So we've already spent $15,000 to $20,000 on this campaign already on Cytosis, and it's going to take another $20,000 or $30,000 to manufacture and to ship these games out to backers. And we don't have that kind of money sitting in a checking account. So honestly, we use Kickstarter still because we need the money. But there's a few other advantages that we have by using Kickstarter. It allows us to gauge interest in the market and see how many units we should manufacture, right? Should we manufacture 2,500, 3,500, 7,500, 10,000? We don't really know, but Kickstarter allows us to identify about how many units we need to manufacture. The third thing is, it really allows us to create a much more high quality product. As we increase in funding, we create stretch goals. Stretch goals allow us to add more components, more stuff, upgrade the components, and make the game even better than it could if we were to just fund it right out of our pockets. And the last thing is that it allows us to really build a community and a bigger audience around the game. And it's newsworthy and noteworthy, so we can use this as a pitch to get picked up by media outlets, right? Normally, if we were just to publish a game, it's newsworthy and we could maybe get picked up, but the whole idea of this big launch that we're preparing for and prepping for, and there's all kinds of content around that, this is great fodder for a news outlet or a media outlet. And so it really helps us to build a community around the launch of this game, which is a great thing for growing your audience. The first attribute of a product that does really well on Kickstarter is it's something that people are going to pay money for. People aren't just going to donate to your campaign out of the generosity of their own heart. The product that they're receiving for that campaign and trying to fund for that campaign needs to be something that people are willing to pay money to receive. Don't look at it as a donation platform. Second, it should be something that people can't get right now on the market. So with Cytosis, yeah, there's lots of board games out there. You can go to Amazon and buy just about any number of them. But this is the first game that takes place inside a human cell. It's the first game that replicates the processes of a human cell, right? That's new and that's novel. And the third thing, which ties into that, is it must be something that gets people so excited that they're willing to tell their friends and their family and share on social media, right? So something that's not available to them, they're willing to pay money for it, and they get excited and they want to share it. Those are the types of products that do really well on Kickstarter. So I think especially for a new creator, there really are maybe 4 really common mistakes that I see on Kickstarter campaigns all the time. The first is launching without an audience, right? The fallacy, if I build it, they will come. I've heard a guy named Richard Bliss refer to it as crowdfunding is a lot like crowd surfing. If you jump without an audience, it's going to be a really painful fall, right? So launching without an audience, you need to have an audience built up on day one, ready to back that campaign for a number of reasons. The second thing is it's a really unprofessional and unclear and disorganized page. You have a few seconds to capture your potential backers' attention right away. And if you lose them or they click away, you might not get them on that page again. And so having a clear, organized, well laid out page is really, really critical. I think the third thing that's a pretty common mistake is not having professional art or graphic design or photographs, a professional photographer take good images of your product and putting them on the Kickstarter campaign. If you have really amateur looking graphic design or art, it's just not going to look professional and people are probably not going to be that excited about it. And the last is offering all kinds of rewards with t-shirts and cups and keychains and all this kind of stuff. I've run the numbers multiple times, and the amount of money you're going to get from those products will not justify the amount of work that you have to put into it and the distraction that it will cause from your core product, right? If someone comes to your Kickstarter campaign because they're excited about your board game or your new tech product, they don't want your keychain. They don't want your tote bag and they don't want your coffee mug. If they want one of those, they'll go to Walmart or Target or wherever else and buy one. If they're excited about your product, give them your product. That is what they're interested in. So don't offer all these other crazy rewards because it's only going to complicate and confuse people. They're not going to be sure what you're offering, and it's going to distract you as a project creator from creating the actual product that you're trying to launch and build. So let me show you the 5 things that I think are some of the most important things that people see first on a Kickstarter campaign. Because I think you really should optimize these things for your campaign. So first and most obvious is this cover image, right? This is going to be the main thing that bloggers are going to reuse. You're going to see it first on social media. So you really want to make sure your cover image is optimized. And then next is your title, your project title. And then third, your project blurb, this little description about your project. And then fourth and fifth are the amount of money pledged and the amount of backers you have. Now, obviously, this project is not live right now, so we don't see that. And your number of backers and your amount of funding raised. Let me move over to another campaign. You can't directly influence these, or you can't control these like you can the others, right? I upload my own image, I upload my own project title, but you can influence these. And I think that is what's really important. So let me go back to the project cover image here. So a few things to think about. First, you should format this specifically for Kickstarter. And if we would go into the editing section, you can see what it needs to be. It needs to be 1024 by 576 pixels and have a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So if you don't have a 16 by 9 aspect ratio, you're going to see borders on some of these. And it just doesn't look professional if you have a 16 by 9 or if you have something that's not a 16 by 9 aspect ratio in the cover image. Next, you want to make sure that this looks good for different screen sizes. So this is when the screen is normal here. If we go back, you can see what it looks like in a smaller screen. You can see what it looks like in an average size screen. This is what it's going to look like on an iPhone or something like that. You want to make sure that when you're looking on a digital device, an iPhone versus a larger screen, that your cover image, it still looks pretty good. Also remember that right here in the middle, there's going to be a play button. So let's go over to this live project. You can see there's a play button right here in the middle. Now in this image, it doesn't distract too much, but you just want to make sure you don't have really critical content right behind that play button because that could be really distracting. I think it's important for your cover image to show off what you are creating, right? This is obvious. Without a title and a project blurb, you kind of get an idea already about what this project is funding. With ours, we're trying to show off the box, trying to show that it is a board game that takes place inside a human cell. That's the main feature of this game, right? So we want to make sure that that is clear from this cover image right away. Lastly, the last thing I would say is you should have this cover image professionally designed. Don't play around with an amateur design. It's only going to cost you in the long term. Make sure this cover image is clean, crisp, professionally designed, high resolution, formatted for Kickstarter, because this is the number one thing that people are going to see first. Bloggers are going to share this. They're going to essentially use the cover image that you chose, and that's what they're going to use for their images. It's going to be the first thing that people see on social media. So make sure you spend a lot of time and energy on this cover image. Second to that is this project title. Now, the project title should be simple, it should be descriptive, and it should be memorable, right? Cytosis, a cell biology game. It's simple, it is clear, it's descriptive, and you can remember what this is. The project blurb, what I think about with the project blurb here is this is sort of, it's the next piece of information that you want people to know after they know what the product is. It's sort of the soundbite. If someone was to go out and say, oh, did you hear about Cytosis? What's that? It's a board game that takes place inside a human cell. You're competing to build enzymes, hormones, receptors, and fend off attacking viruses, right? It's the soundbite that if people memorize, that would be great because it tells them exactly what the product is. And also remember that computers and search algorithms and things like that are going to pick up the keywords inside this blurb. So it's critical to both have this project blurb have good keywords that are relevant to your product. Now, the third and fourth thing that I'll say, this is why it's so important to grow and build in an audience and bring them to the campaign on day one. So let's look at this campaign right here. If you know nothing about the X-Plotter, nothing at all, and the title isn't clear and the cover image you can't see, but you just see that they have almost $350,000 raised and almost 700 backers, you automatically assume that this campaign must be credible. Because look at all these people that are coming and spending money on this thing. There must be something here. So let me see more about this thing. What is this, right? So having money and backers there on day one is super, super important. And it, in a lot of ways, will dictate how much traffic and what potential backers assume about your project moving forward. And that's why it's so important to have, I think, a $1 reward level. And it's important to drive your organic audience to your page on day one, to have family and friends, to have a Facebook event, to have a newsletter, bringing all those organic people into your campaign on day one. And then when media outlets cover you, or there's other people who have never heard of you, they come to your campaign page, they see that you have a beautiful cover image, it's a clear title, they know what it is, they're interested in the product, and it's credible because you have lots and lots of people who have already backed here. I think all of those things culminate into a really successful Kickstarter page. So I think on most really successful campaigns, you'll see 4 really common types of pledge levels. And it's not that there's a textbook out there that tells people how to do this, but people have just learned over time that these are the 4 kinds of pledge levels that really, really work. The first is a low dollar amount pledge level, and I refer to that as a backer growth pledge level, right? So someone comes to your campaign, they see your product, they think it's really cool, but they're not willing to fork up $50 or somewhere around there for the full product, but they still want to support you, so they pledge $1. This is really, really critical because you don't want people coming to your campaign and just leaving. If they're there, why not give them an opportunity to support you in some way, right? Friends and family and people who really want to support you as a person but maybe don't want that product, this is a critical pledge level to have. After that, it's your core pledge level. Now, your core pledge level is essentially 1 unit of the thing that you are trying to create. Is that in retail, will that product go for $25? Will it go for $50? Will it go for $100? This core pledge level can really be any price point that is in accordance with the actual retail value of your product. And this is critical because you should build your whole campaign, the financials and the metrics of your campaign around this core pledge level. How much should your funding goal be? Well, it depends on how many units of your core pledge level you need to manufacture at the cost that you have for that many units, and at the price you're offering that on the Kickstarter campaign. Now, your third pledge level or your third reward level would be your premium reward level. This is something that Stonemaier Games has made really, really popular. So essentially, a premium reward level is the core pledge level, but with just a little bit better, with a little bit more stuff, or maybe way more stuff, or way better, but a little bit more money. They cost just a little bit more. So Stonemaier Games, what they'll do is they'll have a core game for, say, $49 or $59, and then for $20 more, they'll have this premium version, or even maybe a little bit more, they'll have a collector's version. And psychologically, what's happening in a backer's mind is they look at the core pledge level, say it's $49, and then they look at the premium pledge level, say $69, and they think to themselves, well, I've already committed $49, and which is essentially $50, and for only $20 more, I'll get all this extra stuff. I'll get this whole collector's edition. And your attention is focused so much on that $20 rather than the full $70 that you have to spend because you've already spent that core pledge level. You've already agreed to pay to get the core pledge level, right? So it's an interesting psychological trick, but it works really, really well. And you'll notice almost across the board, if you have a campaign that's set up with a core pledge level and a premium pledge level, most of the backers are coming in at those premium pledge levels. Now, the fourth really common and effective type of pledge level is what I call a sustaining pledge level. And Veronica Mars is a perfect example of this. If you look at the Veronica Mars campaign, a sustaining pledge level is a pledge level that's offered for a few hundred or even a few $1,000s, which offers something to a limited amount of backers, a few people, but it's very personalized. It's something very special just for those people. So on the Veronica Mars campaign, for a few $1,000s, you could be on the set. For more money, you could have a speaking role in the film. Usually these do really well if you have some sort of celebrity status or some really popular built-up audience and they want access to you as a creator or what you're doing. So if you're a new campaign, the sustaining pledge levels might not be a good idea. So a lot of people are really intimidated when they think about filming a Kickstarter video. Don't be intimidated by this. Think about a Kickstarter video as your way to just show your backers who you are, your enthusiasm for your product, and a little bit about the product. You want your Kickstarter video to be short and to be to the point. If you're gonna be funny, make sure that humor is in line with your product and is consistent with your core audience and your target customer. Don't make jokes about something that your core audience doesn't understand. Keep your Kickstarter video under a few minutes, right? You don't want a Kickstarter video that's 10 minutes long. No one's gonna watch it. If you're focused on your product and you're demonstrating your product and you're showing your enthusiasm for that product, a couple minutes is perfect. As far as your video quality, it can be shot on an iPhone. Just make sure that the lighting is okay, you're inside somewhere in a quiet place, and it has decent audio. Other than that, don't stress about it. Before you ever launch, you should build an audience. And we get questions all the time, how do you build an audience? How do you build an audience? Well, first and foremost, just get your product out there. Show people. Get a Facebook page. Get a Twitter account. Invite your friends to the page. Have them like it. And then put content out there about your product that people are going to care about, right? Shoot a quick video. Do a time lapse. Take some photographs of it. Do a blog on how you're producing it and how you're designing it and the mistakes that you're making. Stuff that your audience would be interested in, and drive some traffic through social media to your accounts. Now, email lists, an email newsletter is huge because it gives you direct access to your customers. And on day one of your launch, tapping your email newsletter list is really, really, really important. Reaching out to media is really critical to have a successful Kickstarter campaign. Here is our philosophy and our thought process when we reach out to media. So first and foremost, you need to know who your target customer is. Who's your core audience with your product, right? Who buys it? Where are they online? What are their major interests? What are their spending patterns, right? You need to know the demographics of your target customer. And then use that to find out where they are currently online already, right? What blogs are they reading? What media outlets are they listening to? What articles are they reading? What newsletters are they on? What social media pages do they follow and do they like? Once you find all of that, go to those influencers, the people that are already speaking to your core audience, and show off your enthusiasm for them and for your product and for their audience, right? And don't think that you're just gonna come to these influencers and tell them, oh, I've got this great Kickstarter campaign I just launched. Please support me, please share it. No, that's not how it works. You need to be spending months cultivating a relationship with these influencers. Share their content on social media. Comment on their content on social media. Because the reality is, these influencers do not have a voice if there's no one listening to them already. So show them that you're listening and you're helping to spread the awareness about that influencer. And then when you come to them with a product that their audience is interested in, you can show them, I'm part of your audience. I'm listening to you. I'm sharing your content. I'm scratching your back. And I think this is the kind of product that your audience is really interested in, right? And they're much more likely to share it at that point. Now, as far as overall strategy for your Kickstarter campaign, an influencer is probably much more likely to share your campaign once you've funded, once you've shown that, man, this is a newsworthy and a noteworthy campaign. We've already got lots of people here. We've already hit our funding goal. So we usually launch our Kickstarter campaign on a Tuesday and end it somewhere on a Wednesday or a Thursday. And we try not to go longer than about 4 weeks or 30 days, which is recommended by Kickstarter. And here's why. On Friday, people are really just preparing for the weekend, right? People aren't looking online and spending time online as much on Friday because they're trying to wrap up their work for the week so they can hang out on the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, hanging out with friends, hanging out with family. Monday, they're back to work and trying to get caught up and think about what they need to do for the week ahead. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's kind of the time when you're just messing around on the internet, checking things out on Facebook, right? Wednesday's a hump day. So these are some of the better days to push your campaign forward and to get your campaign out there on social media. Now Tuesday, if we launch on a Tuesday, we then have Wednesday and Thursday to continue building up that campaign for the weekend. If we were to launch on a Thursday, we might have a big Thursday launch, but then Friday it's gonna really taper off because people are interested in getting their work done for the week so they can enjoy their weekend. So launching on a Tuesday, ending somewhere on a Wednesday or Thursday is pretty important, and keeping that campaign urgent and short. Shelly, what are we about to do?
I'm about to launch the Cytosis campaign. Cytosis Kickstarter campaign.
And let's see.
Yeah, please get the
time. Can we see the time? 3:11 in the morning. Okay, are you ready, Shelly?
Yes, I'm so ready.
All right, I wish we could turn this. Here, we're just gonna flip it around. All right, here we go.
3, 2, 1.